のせいで母さんは
It all started decades ago. A bloody feud between a father and his eldest son. The world's largest military equipment developer, Mishima Financial Group's leader, Heihachi Mishima, against his own child son. They battle against each other. Heihachi was ruthless, deadly against the kid. And by the end, Heihachi Mishima threw his eldest son off the cliff. Years later, the same kid, who supposed dead, was about to enter the tournament to have his revenge. This is the journey of Kazuya Mishima, one of the most iconic fighting game characters ever designed. I am Arcade Naut here, and with Kazuya Mishima of Tekken series, I will begin to a new video series aside from making review videos or the recent analysis contents. I will choose a character, talk about its story, how it evolved and changed, from the very first title it appeared to the most recent one. From Kazuya's introduction in Tekken 1 to his epic showdown with his father in Tekken 7, he has been one of the most captivating characters in the Tekken series and video game characters, I believe. And in this video, I will be talking about the evolution of Kazuya's story, examining how he has grown and changed over the years. But first, get ready for the man who wants a love lost and have his revenge against his own father. Kazuya Mishima is a character that has been a staple of the Tekken franchise. As the son of the primary antagonist Heihachi Mishima, Kazuya has a complex and a troubled past that has defined his character throughout the series. Kazuya's sole purpose for participating in this tournament is to kill his father and to gain the power of Mishima Zaibatsu for his own. Although Kazuya faces many participants and his future wife Jun Kazama, he makes it to the finals against Heihachi. However, Kazuya has no interest against the tournament prize money. He engages his father in a vicious, bloody battle to have his long-awaited revenge. And by the end of the battle, Kazuya emerges victorious and proceeds to throw Heihachi's broken body off the same cliff that Heihachi threw Kazuya off many years ago, and smiles with his revenge completed. Such a lovely father and son relationship we have. In the early Tekken games, before the third title, Kazuya was portrayed as a cold and a calculating anti-hero, and even can be considered as the villain at some point, driven by his desire for revenge against his father. And a year later, by the sequel, we see Kazuya himself declaring the second King of Iron Fist tournament and taking the mantle which Heihachi used to have. As Kazuya defeated Heihachi in the previous tournament, and in doing so inherited all the power of Mishima Financial Group's head, he now takes the pride in surpassing Heihachi's power. This time, he is the last fight of the arcade mode, and instead of Kazuya, we can now play as Heihachi himself to challenge Kazuya Mishima himself. Tekken 2 is also important as the timeline where Kazuya and Jun Kazama meet at some point. Jun Kazama also entered the King of Iron Fist tournament to stop the Mishima Zaibatsu's illegal animal trading. During this time, Jun became pregnant with Kazuya's son. When Jun entered the tournament, it is stated that she was aware of an evil within Kazuya that she wished to free him from. However, Kazuya's hate and Heihachi's ambition were stronger. As the canon ending of Tekken 2, Heihachi emerges victorious, which would then lead to a similar outcome as before, as Heihachi throws the beaten up body of Kazuya to an active volcano, supposedly ending this feud for good. As Kazuya presumed dead, he never shows up in the third title, but later on will become the biggest threat to Heihachi by the fourth title. Although Heihachi's arcade story is the canon one, we are talking about Kazuya here, so let's take a quick look at how Kazuya's ending actually is. Kazuya seems to expelled and defeated the devil itself, and as he starts to walk away, devil rises and shoots Kazuya with a laser from its own eye. And what's surprising is that Heihachi jumps in front of Kazuya and blocks the attack, possibly saving his life. This act of Heihachi initially surprises Kazuya. His father's act of protection might be the first and the last affection of Heihachi to his own son. However, Kazuya shakes his head, grabs his father and using him as a human shield, and even throwing his father at the devil, finishing the battle with a dragon uppercut. Kazuya smiles with satisfaction, having rid himself of both devil and Heihachi. Kazuya has the best smile in Tekken series, ain't he? In Tekken 3, Kazuya was notably absent from the game's roster, having apparently been killed off in the previous storyline. His son, Jin Kazama, was introduced. However, that's a story for another video as we move on to Tekken 4. During Tekken 4, we learned that Kazuya was brought back to life by G Corporation, a biotech firm making revolutionary advances in the field of biogenetics research. Interested in the biology behind Kazuya's devil genes, G Corporation took his broken body at the end of Tekken 2 and healed him back for years, as Kazuya also allowed this research to continue as he also sought to understand this devil gene inside him. Losing all his power to Heihachi, Kazuya's new aim was to have G Corporation aid him against his father, and then the executive role that would help him to overthrow Mishima Zaibatsu. For the sake of his goal, he underwent G Corporation's experiments. Kazuya believed that these experiments would help him to understand the devil gene more and become stronger, and with this power to defeat Heihachi and destroy Mishima Zaibatsu for good. And right at the start of Tekken 4, Tekken forces of Mishima Zaibatsu, under the guidance of Heihachi, attacked G Corporation's facility and discovered that Kazuya was indeed alive. Heihachi and Kazuya met each other after 20 years. And to lure Kazuya to face himself, Heihachi suddenly announced the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4. Of course, Kazuya knew that it was a trap orchestrated by Heihachi to lure him out. Despite all of that, he accepted the challenge to finish this feud with his father again. However, his own son, Jin Kazama, also entered the tournament without knowing Kazuya's appearance. And in Tekken 4, Kazuya returned as a playable character with a significant redesign overall. He is now portrayed with shorter hair with a modern look, reflecting the game's shift in tone and aesthetics, while showing the devil gene of Kazuya through one of his eyes. Back to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4, as Kazuya reaches the 7th stage, his opponent turns out to be his own son, Jin Kazama. However, Jin never appears and it's announced that Kazuya moves on to next battle. Knowing this is all of Heihachi's own work, he moves on to final battle where he meets Heihachi, and canonically, in contrast to Kazuya's actual arcade progress, he loses this battle against Heihachi. He is taken to Mishima Temple called Honmaru, where Jin was being held captive by Heihachi himself. Kazuya was initially surprised to see Jin chained up, and right at that point, the devil gene inside him explains that half of his lost power that's gone when Kazuya was thrown into volcano around 20 years before now resides within Kazuya's own son, Jin Kazama. Knowing that, devil gene knocks Heihachi out and then proceeds to attempt to acquire the devil gene from Jin. However, Kazuya takes control of his own body, merging their power to face his own son, Jin Kazama, for a decisive battle. So, according to Kazuya's arcade story, he successfully defeats Jin, obtains the devil power to control it just like in Tekken 2, and then destroying Mishima Zaibatsu during that same night. However, according to canon story, Jin Kazama first beats Kazuya and then his grandpa Heihachi turns into Devil Jin and leaves Honmaru for good, leaving beaten Kazuya and Heihachi at the temple, which then immediately leads to this incredible scene, possibly one of the best opening cutscenes of video game history.
Heihachi Mishima is dead.
While fighting alongside with his father Heihachi, Kazuya realized that the leaders of the G Corporation that sent the Jack Force squad were after him too. Kazuya determined to exact revenge on those who betrayed him and taking the leadership of G Corporation to his own hands. With the death of Heihachi Mishima announced and Kazuya planning his revenge, the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5 was announced by someone who has mysteriously taken over Mishima Zaibatsu. In Tekken 5, Kazuya's storyline became more complex as he was revealed to be the biological father of Jin Kazama. This added a new layer of tension to his relationship with Jin, as they were now not only rivals but also father and son, which brings another bloody feud that needs to be resolved later on. Right after the battle at Honmaru Temple, Kazuya enters the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5 to track down those who betrayed him and to discover who holds the tournament. During the halfway to the tournament, Kazuya crosses paths with Raven, who recognizes him after seeing him flying away from Honmaru Temple. You might already guess who wins at this battle, I presume. Kazuya quickly defeats Raven and interrogates him about the G Corporation that betrayed him and learns that something was awakened beneath Honmaru Temple. It's quite sudden and a bit weird here, but Kazuya realizes what Heihachi has done and somehow speculates that it is his grandfather, the father of Heihachi, presumed dead Jinpachi Mishima, who is somehow controlling the Mishima Zaibatsu now. And here, the story of Tekken 5 meets two different outcomes, one being Kazuya's arcade story and one considered as canon, as Kazuya leaves the tournament to murder G Corporation executives, to have the full control of the organization. However, according to the arcade story, he meets with his grandfather, greeting Jinpachi with respect, as Kazuya really respected and loved him, especially their trainings when Kazuya was just a kid. As their fight comes to a conclusion, Kazuya holds the dying Jinpachi in his arms. As Kazuya tries to wake his dear grandpa, he smiles at his grandfather, remembering one of the few happy moments of his childhood. This is Kazuya we are talking about here. As he was remembering those days, Kazuya's expression suddenly changes, as one of his eyes turns red, executing his dear grandpa and turning him to dust. Kazuya seems even more ruthless and with more calculating demeanor than before, as he kills those from G Corporation, taking control and ordering from the shadows. However, the world of Tekken is surrounded with chaos during the events of Tekken 6, as Jin Kazama becoming the leader of Mishima Zaibatsu and declaring war against the whole world. Although there is a motive behind Jin Kazama's decision here, the world engulfs by the flames of war. Meanwhile, Kazuya sets out to use the military power of the G Corporation to suppress the Mishima Zaibatsu, since he basically can't accept anyone but him to have the world dominance. The G Corporation became the symbol of hope against the Mishima Zaibatsu, as they start to fight against Jin Kazama's forces. Kazuya uses this influence of G Corporation to announce a bounty for anyone who could capture Jin Kazama alive. And after hearing these events, Jin Kazama announces the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6, just like Kazuya had predicted. However, Kazuya does not have an important role in Tekken 6 nor in arcade mode. If I were to summarize it quickly, we learned that Jin declared a war against the world to summon an ancient evil power called Azazel, and was actually planning to destroy it to save the world. And during the final battle of Kazuya's arcade, Kazuya fights against the Devil Jin and then manages to defeat his own son in devil form. We see Tekken forces lined up before Azazel's temple and point their guns towards the temple's entrance, waiting for Kazuya. However, they see Kazuya holding Devil Jin, and upon seeing the body of their own leader, the Tekken force quickly accepts Kazuya as their new leader, concluding the Kazuya's arcade story and making it once again non-canon. However, Tekken 7 took things to a different way, concluding the bloody feud between Kazuya and Heihachi Mishima. And during the events of Tekken 7, G Corporation and Mishima Zaibatsu's war was continuing, gradually starting to tilt in G Corporation's favor. And guess what happens? Heihachi announces his return and the 7th King of Iron Fist tournament, right as he claims the leadership of Mishima Zaibatsu in Jin's absence. As you can guess, Kazuya is not surprised that his father is alive after all, not even one bit. However, learning Heihachi is searching for Jin, Kazuya tells his subordinates to hasten the preparations for his plans, while sending his own Jack 6 army to spy and then kill Heihachi, just like in Honmaru Temple. However, this time Heihachi faces a different enemy, an enemy that most of you know from a different universe. Akuma, or Gouki in Japanese, appears before Heihachi Mishima and says that Heihachi's deceased wife, also mother to Kazuya, Kazumi Mishima, sent him to kill both Heihachi and Kazuya. Hearing her mother's name, Kazuya is surprised to hear her mother's name after more than 20 years, disbelieving that his mother would ever do such a thing. Right after this battle between two demons, Heihachi's death at the hands of Akuma is announced. Kazuya also doubts this, and after Heihachi, Kazuya was Akuma's next target, which leads to a decisive battle between a devil and a demon. Quite satisfactory to Akuma, Kazuya invites this demonic fighter to a battle to death. You don't think Heihachi would miss this chance, right? Unbeknown to Kazuya, this battle was indeed a setup that Heihachi hoped for, as he broadcasted Kazuya's transformation to a devil live to the world, showing the true colors of the G Corporation, as Heihachi planned to take him down alongside with him, interrupting the battle between Kazuya and Akuma by obliterating Millennium Tower with Zaibatsu's space laser. However, Kazuya survives the attack with a ruined reputation of G Corporation and Mishima family. With his unending rage, Kazuya shoots a devil laser at Heihachi's satellite, causing it to plummet down to Earth and destroying an entire city, forcing Heihachi for a final clash that would end with a death. And just like in Tekken 1 and 2, although both Kazuya and Heihachi were giving their all, Kazuya's hatred towards his own father was stronger, as he was reminded of his childhood trauma of being thrown off the cliff by his own father. Kazuya gathers the remaining lost strength he has and delivers the final blow, concluding this feud between son and father by throwing his father last time into the volcano. And as he does so, he repeats his father's teaching: all that matters is who's left standing, nothing else. Although Akuma appears to challenge Kazuya to a battle till death once again, Kazuya was ready to use his new devilish power against this demonic warrior, until one of them either dies or retreats. Kazuya was freed from the shackles of his father, and now his goal is most possibly his own son, that has a remaining second half of devil power. And with that, I covered Kazuya's journey within mainline Tekken series, with Tekken Tag Tournament and Street Fighter X Tekken remaining. Well, first of all, Tekken Tag Tournaments do not have canon stories or even a serious setup. However, I think they present interesting interactions between characters, as we can see Kazuya and Jin fighting with each other, and how Kazuya prepares himself to battle against Devil Jin in his own arcade story, or how Jin picks up the unconscious body of his father but unable to finish him due to having Kazama blood, reminding him of his own mother and her peaceful behavior. And in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, we see Kazuya defeating the last boss, Unknown, who is supposedly the deceased Jun Kazama, but in a different form. And during Kazuya's arcade story, we see Kazuya obtaining the power of Unknown, transforming into a new form of Devil. But what I want to talk about here is more about Angel, who normally appears by Tekken 2 to prevent Devil from taking over the body of Kazuya. And that's what she also does at the end of her arcade story. We see yet again Angel and Devil battling in the night sky, as Angel tries to defeat the Devil to restore the humanity within Kazuya Mishima, which I would really like to see also in Tekken 8. And last but not least, Street Fighter X Tekken, which presents the arcade story of Kazuya Mishima teaming up with Nina Williams. In Street Fighter X Tekken, we see Kazuya as the head of G Corporation trying to reach the mysterious box of Pandora, as he plans to use the box's power to increase the power of his devil gene and then defeat his son, Jin Kazama. And well, Nina accepts Kazuya's offer due to her relationship with Mishima Zaibatsu and Jin Kazama, even though she hates Kazuya. And with no connection to Tekken 7 story, we fight against Akuma once again. As Pandora's box opens, Nina shows her true colors by betraying Kazuya, and Kazuya himself never fails to amaze by predicting Nina's intentions and placing G Corporation squads ready to fire at Nina. Nina then quickly runs and the screen immediately turns black with gunshots fired. Despite Nina's betrayal, Kazuya still obtains the box, knowing that this is all that truly matters, as he plans to take it back to his company in order to fully restore his body as well as the devil gene resting inside him. At the end, Kazuya Mishima is an anti-hero fighter and most of all a tragic figure. A childhood marked by abuse and neglect turned him into a merciless fighter who wants to be above everyone else. With return of Jun Kazama and the absence of Heihachi in Tekken 8, Kazuya's story and his battle against his own son Jin Kazama and also against Mishima Zaibatsu might take an unexpected turn for Kazuya Mishima. We just need to wait a couple of months and see for ourselves. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and I hope you enjoyed the journey of Kazuya Mishima, and probably I would also extend my range for other characters from other genres as well later on. And as for the next character, I think he is tragic and interesting as Kazuya as well.